There's nothing known as love. It's simply an emotion.
You never have a conflict, there's a problem. Smooth sailing only happens when you're just agreeing for the sake of.
Affairs are never about sex. If it is only about sex, the fling will automatically taper away. If there is an emotional connect, that is only when an affair lasts.
When you ignore something, you suppress it, it's going to get more and more toxic.
In our Indian arranged marriages, it was very common that, you will see the parents to judge how the daughter or the son is. You want to understand how the parenting has been. It's not about customs, traditions, caste and creed. It's also about how that family is. Joint family, nuclear family, doesn't matter. Because the way the parents are with each other influences how your daughter or son is also going to live their life.
I think identity loss is also something that happens to people in marriages.
A woman gets married to a man, let's go for name, let's go for family, comes to a new place, her identity is lost. This happens more to women in this country than men. Men obviously don't do that. I'll let go of my surname and come. That doesn't happen. A man is always looking for his mother in his wife. And a daughter is always looking for his father in her husband.
Why?
Because
So Dr. Sheetal, I think mostly love is not the problem. I think the patterns are. And we are here today to discuss what these patterns mean in your view. Let's start very uncomfortably. Why do affairs happen more in good marriages than bad?
Thank you, Asna, first and foremost for having me here. It's a good question to start off with because honestly, from my side, I don't think there are any good marriages. Every marriage is the same. They are in a way broken. I know it sounds weird, but that's the reality. I personally feel that in a good marriage, you think that you're in a very good marriage, so you don't look at it, you ignore it. It's very human for us to think. For example, in your body, what is the least focused part that you have? It's usually the teeth. We brush it every day, I'm sure there's nothing wrong.
Okay.
And that is the biggest problem because once you start getting a cavity, you're wondering as to what the hell happened. I brush twice a day. I use Colgate. I use mouthwash. I do everything. How the hell can I have a cavity? But honestly, how many times have you gone to check up your tooth? You don't do that. That's a good marriage. That is what happens. You take care of your wife, or your wife takes care of your husband. She cooks amazingly. She takes care of the parents. The husband's earning well, takes the wife out 3 times a year. 1 international, 2 domestic. It's an amazing marriage. That is where the problem happens because you ignore, because you're doing the basic right, you're not looking at what's happening inside. But in a broken marriage, as it is, I have a broken marriage, so you're giving more attention. So technically, that's what I feel. Every marriage is supposed to have a problem. That's a good thing. To have a problem is a great thing. It makes sure that you're focused on that.
That's true because if you don't have any problem in any relationship, I just marriage, even in friendship, I feel like if you don't have a problem with someone, you never have conflicting ideas, you never have a conflict, there's a problem. Because it's like smooth sailing only happens when you're just agreeing for the sake of.
Plateau effect.
Yeah.
It's a plateau effect.
Yeah. So why do people not talk about this honestly? Why do people not talk about problems, like you said, in a supposed good marriage? Why is everything brushed under the carpet?
As a society, we love to keep a very good image. So like for example, if I'm wearing a cloth which has got some tear in it, I'll make sure that it is taken care, it's stitched and it is hidden from the perspective of the common people. Because if I show that there's something broken in my fabric, that means that I'm bad. That's a perception that you have grown up with. It's a childhood thing. That's why cosmetics sell. That's why it is very important for us to maintain a clean image. And that percolates, that mindset percolates into our marriages, into our relationship, parenting also for that matter. We want our children to be the best. Why? Are you the best? No, I'm not. But I want my child to be the best. For a parent who has never played sport, his son has to run the marathon. His son has to become like Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli. Excuse my age. So Virat Kohli has to be the best in everything. That is exactly what happens with marriages. We want everything to be perfect. Marriage has to be perfect. The daughter-in-law has to be perfect. Trophy wife, trophy daughter-in-law, amazing husband, amazing son-in-law. So the problem is in trying to make sure that everything is amazing, we brush everything under the carpet. The ostrich effect. We feel that if we dunk our head like an ostrich, it will all pass away. It doesn't. It festers. Something that you don't take care of festers and it becomes worse.
Correct.
And that is the problem with our society and with our mindset. It is not a problem with you or me alone. It's the case across. And societal hai, it's a construct. You can't do much about it. What you can do though is be informed, be aware so that you can actually bring it out. Talk share, and make sure that there is a right kind of noise and attention and spotlight which is given to it when necessary.
So, do you think affairs are always about sex, or do you think it is about running away from responsibility? Do you think it is running away from unhappiness? What do you think a person is really trying to fulfill when they go into having an affair?
Okay, 3 questions. I'll answer one by one. Affairs are always about sex is something like a fantasy that the society has fed into your mind because sex is supposed to be something which is not supposed to be spoken about. That is what affairs are supposed to be. That's not the truth. It is trying to say that your knees are hurting, not because you're playing sport or not because you're growing old, but because yesterday night you did not sleep properly. That's stupidity. That's not the reality. So affairs are not about sex. Affairs are about something which is very basic, being ignored in a relationship. If you're ignored in a relationship, you obviously will try to search out something that is not there. And that is what starts off. It starts off with a simple conversation. It starts off with a simple smile. It starts off with simple something like this: I appreciate you for what you've done. You've not been appreciated at home. Someone else appreciates you. That's it. Human beings are very easily swayed, and this is what happens. Affairs are never about sex. It's the part two. Yes, it's a part of it. Sex is something that is necessary for everyone, and it comes to that, but it never starts off with it. And that is why you'll realize if it is only about sex, the fling will automatically taper away. If it is more than that, if there is an emotional connect, that is only when an affair lasts. So the foundation is not sex, but the foundation is conversation. The moment that comes across and you can't converse with your partner, you converse with someone else, then that's a problem. Example, all the affairs that have started off, which have lasted long, is because one of the partner at home feels ignored by the other one. And that ignorance is taken care by someone else because someone else gives attention. That's it. Simple. Starts. The point here is the other partner needs to recognize whether they are getting ignored. If they are getting ignored, then you should be aware there are chances that you might fall into the trap of getting into an affair. So just converse, talk, seek. It is so hard for partners these days to go and say, "Yeah, you're not talking to me. You don't take me out. You don't make stuff. You don't say I love you." It's so hard. It should not be. It should not be.
You know, what you said is true, but I also feel like sometimes it's not that simple. I'll explain. So let's say there's this guy Rajesh, okay, who's my neighbor, and he had an affair. I'm not saying that it was, like you said, sometimes it's lacking at home, so you seek it outside. I would say there are people, like I saw in his case, who want more than possible. For example, he has a doting wife, he has somebody taking care of his needs, he had a doting mother at home, he had a wife who was taking care of his moods, his needs, emotional needs, whatever, because I was friends with her. I think in this case it was more like, I'm not getting the thrill. I want to do something that is abnormal. I'm not happy with everything being vanilla. I need something else to happen to, create a spark in my life that is not happening at home. So sometimes it's not even a lack that you're fulfilling. Sometimes it's literally like seeking something that's abnormal.
So wonderful that you brought this point up. So for this, I would like to bring you back to the first question, the plateau. The problem is that every marriage, 3.5 years, there is a cycle. You hit a cycle and you go for a dip. In a marriage, you have to realize you have to keep spicing it up. You start off in a relationship. For example, I encounter so many clients of mine. They have been sweethearts, college sweethearts, school sweethearts, end up getting married 5 years, 6 years down the line. Either of them are cheating, they caught with the pants down, and suddenly the marriages go for a toss. Why does that happen? You've been always in love. The problem is, every 3.5 years, the relationship evolves. You get bored and you seek out something which is new.
Yeah.
So rather than seeking out something outside, how about reinventing the wheel inside? It is doable. Simple as that. I love having a dal and rice at home. Sometimes I get bored having the dal and rice at home. So I asked my mother, why don't you ask something else? Why don't you make it in a different manner? Like we have a Gujarati dal, which has got something sweet in it. We have a Kerala dal, which is technically very bland. So she just spices it up. My mother, my wife, they spice it up. So that makes sure that I'm very happy eating food at home. Might sound a very crass example, but in reality, this is what you need to do with your marriages also. 3.5 years, spice it. Change the relationship. Talk about what is necessary. Bedroom habits, your financial habits. You need to talk about all this and try to ensure that your partner and you are on the same page. About Rajesh, I'm sure you've changed the name. So about Rajesh,
I
the
have.
problem is many times there is childhood. There is something lacking in the childhood. Men are always looking for affection from their mother. Daughters are always looking for affection from their fathers. If there is something wrong or broken in a parenting, it is eventually carried on when you become an adult. So there are multiple factors which are there. So that 3.5 year ka lull period is also a factor wherein this thing also can't come into play. Human brains are like clay. The clay is molded from the childhood. Whatever imprints that you're putting is always going to remain in your mind. And that is why you may have been scared by something when you were like probably 7 or 8. Even today, when something like that comes up, you're an adult today, but you still have a jitter because at that age, you were scared about that. So that reaction, that nervous reaction always brings to the fray. This is also part of the same symptom.
I completely agree with you. I think it is that whole childhood pattern, the personality development that happened, the conditioning that happened, and you bring it into your 20-year marriage not realizing the conversation hasn't happened at home with your partner, and everything, goes bad, and you think that you did something or your partner did something, but it could be really like old conditioning that came into play. It could be something happened in your childhood, that unfulfillment with your parent, and you're trying to fulfill or seeking it from your partner, but that seeking cannot be fulfilled that was supposed to be fulfilled by your parent, by your partner. Your partner is going to fulfill a very different space, and I think people tend to confuse the two. I love the example you gave that boys seek that kind of love from their mothers, and girls seek that kind of love from their fathers. Can you explain why?
So yeah, Freud, the father of psychology, very clearly put it that what is a man? A man is a human being, or rather a human with a penis. And what is a woman? Woman is technically a man without a penis. It's as simple as that. There's something that always fits. The idea is the opposites always attract, and that is why there is always a daddy's girl and a mama's boy. That's the
Correct.
adage that keeps on coming across. You are always seeking out attention from the opposite sex, from childhood itself. Okay, a motherly love is there because a mother obviously caresses a child in the bosom. That warmth, that love, that affair, that affection that comes in is always there. And for a daughter, she is looking for something strong. Her emotions are very high. She has got a high EQ, high EI. She's looking for something very strong, very masculine. That comes from the father. So a very strong father will always ensure there is a very emotionally strong daughter who's growing up. You will always see this. If the father is abusive, if the father is not very good to the mother, the daughter is always broken. And that's the same thing which happens to men too. So that is why childhood plays a very, very important factor in trying to build up a family. Like in our Indian arranged marriages, it was very common that, they will see the parents to judge how the daughter or the son is. There is a very scientific way to it, because the reason is very simple.
Yeah.
You want to understand how the parenting has been. It's not about customs, traditions, caste and creed. It's also about how that family is. Joint family, nuclear family, doesn't matter. But how are the parents with each other? Because the way the parents are with each other influences how your daughter or son is also going to live their life.
Absolutely.
And that is very important.
That's your first example of love. That's your first example of a relationship. And unrealizingly, that's the first understanding of what partnership is for a person.
Yep.
I think you'll carry that for the rest of your life, and it'll take a lot to break away from it if it was toxic. It'll take a lot to unlearn what you learned as a child. I absolutely agree with you. The biggest myth around marriage is that love dies, and eventually it's routine. Eventually it's habits. In your experience, what do you think actually dies first?
I don't think there's something known as love. Love is something like people like me, we are authors, we have created that fiction because there's nothing known as love. It's simply an emotion, and there is a chemical neurotransmitter which comes in the brain, and that makes you feel attracted and attached to someone. So just bringing it on, you are initially attracted superficially to someone. The looks, the way they talk, the way they walk, or the way they have behaved with you is what attracts you to someone. That is why you say that you speak well, you dress well, because that's the initial phase of your attraction, right? But when you get into the relationship, automatically you start spending time with them. You spend space, you share space with them, you understand their habits, your habits, it mixes, it matches. There are smells, there are habits, there's so much that comes across in a marriage, right? You love a man or love a woman because she looks so beautiful, she's put up a 3 layer or 6 layers of skincare on her face, and you love a man because he smells so manly. I'm sure he's used 3 to 7 layers of deodorants and perfumes on his body. But when he wakes up, he's not like that. When she wakes up, she's not like that. To fall in love with that, or you actually have to like that. So it phases out after some time because your brain suddenly goes from that honeymoon phase to a realization phase. In that realization phase, it is very scientifically proven that if the habits match what the parents or what the daughter or the son has actually lived through or gone through, it is very easy for them to gel. It is very easy for them to talk. Now, herein comes the communication part of it. While you're in a relationship, it is essential for you to communicate. Food habits, money habits, bedroom habits. Very important. Food habits, why? You might belong to whichever part of the world. You have a different set of stuff that you consume. The other partner may or may not like it. It's not about vegetarian, non-vegetarian, or whatever it is that we talk about. It's about basically having the same palate, yet consuming food in a different way. You might find, what's the need to talk about it? It is necessary. Because when a boy or a girl is sick, she really wants to have the same food that she had when she was a child.
Comfort.
Yeah, that's a comfort food. Like for me, whatever happens, dosha is my comfort food. Even though I'm born and brought up in Gujarat, I'm a Mallu by birth. So I love my doshas. I'm sick, I'm hungry, I'm depressed, dosha is my go-to food. Yeah.
Yes, your comfort.
It's my comfort food.
Correct.
Food, that is number one. Finance. I have always used money in a particular manner. I probably am someone who just buys instantaneously stuff because it just gives me a dopamine high. My partner needs to understand that. Now, if at all I need a dopamine high, I want to go and buy. If she just comes and says, no, don't buy this. What the hell is wrong with you? You have really horrible habits. It's going to break my heart. Rather, if she doesn't want me to buy it, there's a way to communicate. She needs to understand my finance, my money habits, my spending habits too. Bedroom habits. I mean, bedroom habits are very important.
My God, yes.
And when I say bedroom habits, not just coitus I'm talking about. I'm talking multiple things. You snore while you're sleeping. You have a habit of farting when you're sleeping.
You sleep in very cold rooms. You don't sleep in a cold room.
Absolutely. So the point is, you need to talk about this. Toilet habits, bedroom habits, they're merged. And they're essential. And there is no shame in talking about it. I see so many couples struggling to bring this up. How will I say this to him? He will feel bad. That's what the girl says. Why can't you talk about him? Bloody well, you're going to spend your entire life with him. Why can't you talk about that to him? And he goes naked in front of his wife, but he cannot talk about basic things that he likes to do in the bed, basic things that he doesn't like to do in the bed. Hygiene. It is so important. You want to have a long-lasting relationship, you better talk about all these three things.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're going to have crazy arguments.
Because also there are only some days where you let it go.
Yeah.
Other days it will hound you. And like you said, when you ignore something, you suppress it, it's going to get more and more toxic.
Absolutely.
You know what you said is very interesting about food habit. I actually have a cousin who got married to somebody from Thailand. And when they were dating, very happily, he would order Thai curry for her every second day. He would cook for her, she would cook for him. 3 years into the marriage, he was just like, oh my God, I can't wait to go and eat chola bhatura. रोज मुझे घर पे जाके Thai curry खानी पड़ती है. And it became a problem.
Correct.
So you're absolutely right that what may seem very fancy and very fun, but actually to talk about food habits is a thing because that's how you've been brought up. That's your comfort. And 5 days you might, try different restaurants. 6 days you will like, मुझे घर पे दाल चावल खाना है.
Correct.
It's as simple as that.
Correct.
So you're right. These are things we ignore and we think they are so silly to discuss, but they actually are very important.
Very. And the biggest problem here is you have to understand the demographic difference. Like imagine a Mallu getting married to Punjabi. A Punjabi is going to eat like hog like anything and it's okay. That's accepted. But a Mallu is going to be like, oh, he's eating so much. He's eating so much. What am I supposed to do? If you don't talk about these things, it might end up with the girl saying something wrong to a boy who is a Punjabi and he's like, he's always eaten like this. Like, arey, kya farak padta hai?
The anger will also be deflected in such a way that might not come across rightly.
And the problem here is, Ashna, you don't choose to say stuff at that time. You hold it back. And when there is a dip in your relationship, everything comes back.
Yeah.
And you don't even know, like a whiplash, it's going to hit you. And you're like, arey, what was this about? We were talking about something else. How is food here? How is bedroom here? I mean, as simple as that wet towel on the bed. It's a very simple thing. The wet towel on the bed syndrome. It's very common. We take a bath, use it, throw in the bed. This is something which boys have a big problem with. We need to address it when it happens, not after 2 months, because a man is never going to understand. Men think a bit, short, cache memory type problem. Women have a long cache memory. So
Yeah, we have banks of memory.
Yes.
I mean, negative or positive, but you're right. I think I have seen couples where, You hold off on small things, and finally, when that massive argument happens, you'll bring up how he sits, how he eats, how he sleeps, how he walks, and he'll say, "तुम्हें तो मेरे में कुछ कुछ पसंद नहीं, तो मेरे साथ हो क्यों?" But it's all that you suppressed and put aside, like it's too small to mention, it's too small to bring up. You've not discussed the basic things,
Right.
and ultimately it becomes like a massive ball of problems.
True.
Yeah, I completely agree. So people say communication issues ruin relationships, right? Is that true, or is it avoidance dressed up as politeness?
No, communication issues are there, and it has been there since time immemorial. I don't think there is something which is not there. And let me quote mythology, because I think that makes a lot more sense. I mean, Ram and Sita were together for such a long time. They went through exile. They went through so much hardship together. Abduction was also there. Still, the relationship held very strong. When they came back, the only thing they could not handle was one simple rumor. That broke the marriage. If you think about mythologically or religiously, lest I offend someone, the idea here is that a relationship simply broke because all that needed to be done by the protagonist in that story was to communicate to his wife that, you know what, this has happened, let us take a break for the sake of the religion, for the land. That didn't happen. The relationship went for a toss, and see what happened. The entire family was broken. This is the biggest thing that we should take in our life. Communication is always going to be the fundamental source of any relationship to exist. It always ruins. Why? We all say different things. While I'm talking to you in your podcast, I'm saying something. Your cameraman is going to understand something else. You're going to understand something else, because that is how you have been raised. You have your background, and that background makes you think about Ram and Sita that specific manner, and that is something which is we both have to understand and accept. If we are in a relationship, I should always take it for granted that she has understood only 50%. The remaining 50% is going to be misunderstood. So I have to make it a point that, have you understood it? Are you all right? Do you get it? So in my relationship, I've been married for 13 years now. This is the 14th year now of my marriage. I make sure that, my wife and me, we have constant arguments. We have fights too. But I make sure that, I just go back, because I have to understand the fact that she will understand differently. I go back and say, you understood, right? She gets irritated sometimes. बताया तो सही अभी वापस क्यों पूछ रहे हो? But the idea for me to cross check is for you to understand that the blocks are same or not. And that is a problem with everyone. You take it to a politician, take into a relationship, take actors, take your mom and dad, take your watchman, everyone. Their understanding is wrong, always. So relationship, communication, they go hand in hand, and that is the biggest problem that they face.
So Dr. Sheetal, tell me, you've worked with thousands of people. What's the most common emotional pattern you see in people who cheat and that they never recognize?
Trauma. They are going through a lot of trauma, and this trauma is either childhood trauma or the trauma of being broken somewhere or the other in a relationship, and they try to get it out in your partner. I had this very interesting case with this boy who was in love with this woman. He gave his heart and all soul to that woman, and I would say that Pyar Ka Panchnama Part 1, all the women combined did that one woman did that to that boy, and he was cheated. So finally, when he fell in love, or rather a marriage was arranged for him, he started looking at his wife in the same lens that she will do this only. Even if I give her the best of the best, she's gonna do this, she's gonna cheat. He started having issues which never existed. Absolutely, phantom issues. Like, she's talking to her mother, she must be bitching about me, but she was not. She was probably telling her mother that my husband's so nice, he takes care of me. But no, this phantom issue. Now, this invisible emotion is what ruins marriages, ruins relationships. Marriages ruins relationships. So how to handle them? So when this boy and this couple came to us, and we were sitting down with them, having a couple's relationship, the wife had 0 complaints, while the husband had so many complaints. So that is when we started talking about him, and he shared about his earlier relationship. So he never got out of the trauma that he faced in that relationship. So he basically mirrored everything that woman did onto this new girl that was there in his life. So till the time he did not get out of that, the shadows of that earlier relationship, he could not accept his marriage. So now he's happily married, he's got a son, he's doing really well. But the idea is, many times we do not exit a relationship, we don't get closure. The problem is, there has to be proper closure in any relationship. Friendship also, we get really horrible friendships. There are people who do bad to us, There has to be closure in the relationship. And for closure, I don't say that you need to have the other partner. It's okay. You sit down with a therapist or you sit down yourself, write it down. What happened to you?
Yeah.
Did you deserve that? Were you that good or bad? Okay. And then ensure that you have closure there. Till that time you don't get closure, those emotions will always hamper your existing relationship. There's this movie, Runaway Bride. You see Julia Roberts and you've seen that movie, right? What do you think happened to her? She had so many failed marriages. So many men used to go away. And then finally, till the time, she did not get around it. I know it's a very fancy movie. It gives a very wrong impression, but I'm just I'm picking this genesis of the idea. Till the time she did not get closure, it didn't work out. Notting Hill, another Julia Roberts movie. I mean, she had to speak to that guy about, I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
Who's looking for a boy to love me. I mean, it hampers relationships till the time you don't know what you want and what is ailing you. So these are the invisible emotions which literally take the wind out of the sail of a relationship.
Do you think we carry our relationships with our parents into our marriage, and how we're not even able to exit that? So I'll give you an example. Boys are not able to exit their relationship with their mothers, they bring it into their marriage. Girls are not able to exit their relationship with their fathers and bring it into their marriage. Can you throw a little bit of light on that?
So I would say this, there are multiple psychological theories behind it. I will not name any because that can cause some blasphemy here. But what happens is that a man is always looking for his mother in his wife.
Why?
I'll come to that. That's why I said let's gonna cause a lot of blasphemy into this. And a daughter is always looking for a father in her husband. Why? Because that is what has been established. That is the first female or male that they have seen. Now, when you mature as an adult, you have to understand your father was someone else. Your mother is someone else. You have to have that disassociation. Expecting something that has been done by your mother from your wife is stupidity because she has seen you when probably you were small. And her emotions are built up around that. Her protection, her care, her narrative, everything is built around that. Expecting that from your wife is like expecting mountain out of nothing. Nothing. Yeah. It's not going to come because that nothing doesn't realize, oh, good Lord, I have to climb the Everest to be at par. You don't know that. That ails a relationship and that ails all relationships. When you get married or when you are an adult who is getting into courtship for that matter, dating period or whatever you want to say, you have to understand your parents and you are different people. Like for example, I'm a boy, okay? I love my mom. I obviously want the same care that my mom gives me from my wife. But can I do exactly what my father did? No, I can't. I should be aware of that. That basic line should bring me back to my reality that I am not my father. Obviously, my wife is not going to be my mom. Right? Good, bad, both. The good also and the bad.
Correct.
We have to understand that. Same thing applies for women. If you don't do that, eventually it is going to give you some sort of disappointment. Your father probably used to always know what exactly you used to love. When you're very down, he'll get you ice cream, he'll take you for a drive, he'll buy you whatever you want. Your husband handles the same situation in a different manner. But that's him. You should allow him to live like that. You should allow him to grow. Because, again, your parents are not going to be there forever. They're going to go, if not today. And they're going to go earlier than, obviously, your spouse is going to be. So, your spouse should be able to cater to every single emotional need that you have. So, share now. Share emotional needs, share your requirements. I am not ashamed to say that, when I watch a movie, I cry. I cry, literally cry. Bahubali, whatever times I see, I cry. And my wife is aware of it. And she knows what she needs to do when I cry. I have been able to vocally say that because my mom always knew. But then I had to tell my wife, कि क्या करना है. बिना बताए expect करना that my wife will do that. Oh, she can't do that. My mom was so good. That is me being stupid. So don't be stupid, guys. Communicate.
So, Dr. Sheetal, nobody talks about this. I would like to address silent emotional contracts that marriages hold. What are the most dangerous unspoken ones?
Silent emotional contracts that marriages hold. See, every marriage has a different sort of understanding. We all understand that in a contract, legally speaking, there has to be consideration. That is, one party has to give something that the other party doesn't have. And technically, that's a barter, right? That's a social contract. There was a very famous French author, Rousseau, who wrote about social contract. Marriages also follow the same thing. In a marriage, a husband and wife both are aware what they bring to the table and what they are lacking, okay? Many times, there is something that emotionally is lacking in both. And you understand and you adjust. And you adjust and you adjust. You have children. The children also see that the parents are struggling. Okay. They're struggling. They're not talking to each other. Father is abusive. Mother listens. Mother breaks and does stuff in kitchen. That's how she's getting her emotions sorted. Child sees all that. What are you teaching your children? So the silent emotional contracts, few, if I can just name a few. The biggest one is abuse. Abuse that doesn't really translate into physical abuse, but there's a lot of verbal abuse. There's a lot of emotional abuse in the sense that you are not considered for anything. Imagine a wife who's educated. She's a master's, she's been doing really well, a high flyer in her job, gets married to from a tier 1 city to a tier 2 city, a big business house. And then suddenly she's like, stay at home, you're a trophy wife, take care of the society, take care of your social needs, etc., etc. And they take care. The family is very nice. Okay, no problems there. She has a child. The child grows up. After 6, 7 years, 8 years, the husband starts ignoring when the wife says something. तुम्हें क्या पता है? तुम्हें क्या पता है? He doesn't realize that तुम्हें क्या पता is hurting her so much. She thinks, I let go of my family, my career. I came to your family. I manage your family. I have extended your family tree. And what are you trying to tell me? She doesn't protest. She listens to this. That is verbal abuse, emotional abuse to a certain kind. The husband doesn't realize that. What will that do? That will bleed the mother. If she has a daughter, she will keep telling the daughter, बेटा शादी करके ना कभी अपना career छोड़ना मत. Focus on your career. Focus on your career. What is the daughter seeing? She is seeing that her mother, in spite of having such a good relationship with the father, is saying this to her. That means mama कुछ छुपा रही है. She probably is not happy. That is what is something that is there in the mind of the daughter. So this is silently understood by the husband and wife. What if the wife just stood up one fine day and said, you know what? I don't want to do this. How about you allow me to restart my life, restart my career? Can I do that? At least talk about it. This is something which is not spoken about. This is something which is understood. Joint families में बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. Nuclear families में फिर भी कम होता है. Joint families में ज़्यादा इसलिए होता है because adjusting and understanding is a bit more. Tolerance levels are a bit higher. Correct. You have to tolerate. You have no option. चाचा क्या कहेंगे, चाची क्या कहेंगी, काका, मामा, so many people in the home. भैया, भाभी, I mean, you have to take care. If you are the elder wife, daughter-in-law, छोटी वाली को संभालना है, तुमने बर्तन भी धोए, तुमने ये भी किया, वो भी किया, छोटी वाली को तो you have to पलकों में रखना है. She'll suddenly, मैंने क्या गुनाह किया था? Did my parents not take care of me? I had to do everything for my mother-in-law, but this new one is given scot-free. She can do anything and everything under the sky. So you see, understand this. This causes trauma. And best part is she will not talk about this, but she will vent. To whom? Probably to the new daughter-in-law, probably to her brother-in-law, and the worst part, your children. There's a stupid reel which keeps coming. पति ने कुछ कर दिया, बच्चे को पीट दो. बीवी ने कुछ कर दिया, बच्चे को पीट दो. सास ने कुछ कर दिया, बच्चों को पीट दो. बच्चों को ही पीटते रहते हैं. The entire abuse goes to the child. And when this child grows up, you are giving traumatic children new relationships. You see, the trauma is generational in nature.
Yeah, it's passed on.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So, according to you, in these cases where these emotional patterns are existing in these marriages, what is the main thing people need to address? I know you said communication, but some people over the years diminish their own personality to fit in. They're so scared of society not accepting a newer version of them or the old version of them. They have also kind of managed this new way of life. They don't know how to go back to who they really were. They've lost identity. I think identity loss is also something that happens to people in marriages. Can you throw a little bit of light on that?
A woman gets married to a man, let's go for name, let's go for family, comes to a new place, her identity is lost. Okay, this happens more to women in this country than men. Men obviously don't do that. I mean, it's very rare for a man, if I get married to you, I'll not come to your home and say, okay, I'll let go of my surname and come, because take yours. It doesn't happen. It happens to a lot of the women. What needs to be done? Okay, communication we've already spoken about. But the biggest thing that needs to be is self-realization. The person who's actually going through a problem also needs to realize, that, hey, I have a problem. Okay, it's as simple as that. If I have a pimple, I will only use a pimple patch. If I know that I have a pimple. If I say, no, this is not a pimple. What the hell is wrong with this? It's not a pimple, it's a mole. I cannot use a pimple patch there. I will never use a pimple patch on that. So I will never know that I have a problem. Yeah. So self-realization is the biggest problem, that you know that there is a problem, that I have lost my identity. I used to laugh when I used to listen to this music. I don't listen to the same music ever. I used to love traveling, but I don't do that anymore. I always need my husband to go anywhere and everywhere. Is that me? No, मुझे अच्छा लगता है. I know आपको अच्छा लगता है, but is that you? You don't yearn to travel. And I know I'm talking a very female oriented in these things, but this happens more to women in this country than men. Men don't lose their identity, women do. And their identity not just collapses because of the husband, the children also.
Correct.
For the children, who is a Superman? Papa. Who is the best person? Papa.
Who's the main provider?
Papa. Everything is Papa. What happens to the mother? Try to take mother of the home away from the home, the entire home collapses. It's just not possible. My wife or my mother, if they go away from the home, I have no idea what to do. I just lie on the bed doing nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing that I do is switch on Netflix and order from Zomato because मेरे को कुछ आता ही नहीं है.
Yeah.
I do not know what to do. But that realization has to be there. That, you know, I am something. I am a provider. In spite of me not making money, a woman is a very essential part of a home. The cog, the only cog in the wheel. You take the cog in the wheel, the entire vehicle collapses. The loss of identity happens there, and the biggest problem is no self-realization. So if someone comes to us in therapy and they're like, you know, this is the problem, that is a problem, other than communication, we always try to help you to understand yourself. Have you lost yourself? You may evolve. I might start off with probably Old Monk and evolve into Glenfiddich. But still, somewhere down the line, I love the spirits. That is my reality, right? How can I forget that? I cannot suddenly start saying, no, मैं तो एकदम सात्विक बन गया हूँ, मैं सिर्फ छाछ पीता हूँ. That is stupidity. I love the spirits. That is the essential fundamental. How can I forget that? That needs to be understood.
So I think another issue I see that modern marriages or social media or the media, movies, they are forcing us to kind of or convincing us to see our one partner as lover, best friend, emotional regulator, sexual partner, safety net.
Oh, yeah,
but there are so many roles that I don't think can be fulfilled by that one person. This expectation, according to me, is not realistic. What do you think?
You look very fit and fun. I'm sure you work out.
Yeah,
Okay. What sort of diet do you follow?
I follow a very good diet.
Very good diet. Do you only have rice all 3 times a day?
No,
Why?
because I know it's too much.
To expect from rice to give you proteins, to give you fats, to give you minerals, fiber, etc.
Right.
That is what you're expecting your husband to do. Or that is what I'm generally saying everyone expects their spouse to do. That one meal has to give everything to everyone. It's not possible. See, I have said this in earlier podcasts and other places when I speak also that your spouse needs to be your emotional support, but you cannot expect everything from your spouse. Okay, I'll give you a live example. I write a lot on Medium and online. It's something which is my go-to. I make sure that I use really weird language because I think like that. And I keep sending it to my wife. I cannot expect her to understand everything that I write. It's not possible.
Correct.
Because she's her. I am me. If I expect her to understand and critique everything that I write the way Shobhade does, it is weird. It is stupidity. I don't expect her to do that. I have few friends whom I share that stuff with. Similarly, my love for movies, my love for music may not be shared with my spouse. But does that stop me from sharing it to her? No, it doesn't. See, what fundamentally happens here? I recognize this, that the movies that I like are not exactly the movies that my spouse like. That doesn't mean that I don't share it with her. I only share it with someone else. That means I'm opening a door for an affair. I share it with her. I try to make sure that she understands why I like that. It is not necessary for her to like or appreciate it. But the problem is this, that we expect, all of us, that she will like it, she will appreciate it, the spouse will understand it. And if they don't, it is stupidity. Why? Because we have all been brought up with the idea of soulmates.
Yeah.
Yes, we have soulmates. The soulmate is supposed to understand everything. And the biggest stupidity is none of us know what soul is also.
We actually don't. Scientifically, it's still not been proven what the soul is.
Absolutely. The only soul I know is in the sole of my shoe, which is good. I understand what it is. There is a foundation to it. I do not know what a soul is. So how can I find my soulmate? It is stupidity. The worst part here is that I also do not know what I like. Today I like something else, tomorrow I like something else.
Yeah, and we keep evolving.
We do, because experiences teach us. Correct. So how can you expect your partner to understand everything that you say or do? Again, movies, books, all your romantic books, your Eric Siegels of the world or your Karan Johars of the world, they have taught you that this is how it's supposed to be. You enter a college, you have to enter a college in a BMW Porsche. Otherwise, you can't enter a college. It doesn't happen like that. Shadi has to be a particular manner. It has to have so many big, lehengas have to be so expensive, etc., etc., etc. These imaginative things have built up so much expectation in our life that we always find a flaw in our spouse. Irrespective of the best vacation that you have given to your spouse is like, तुमने तो मेरे साथ एक भी फोटो नहीं खींची, Instagram पे मेरे पास फोटोज ही नहीं है, क्या जरूरत है, क्यों डालने, उसने डाले हैं ना.
That has become the measure of happiness.
Absolutely. So these things are something which has been created. It is not the reality, and that's not the real definition of a relationship. It's abstract, it's skewed beyond measure.
So I completely agree with what you said. Let's talk about learning from movies, right? That we give a lot of examples and how we ape everything we see on social media, in movies, around us, and we think that is the picture and that is the ultimate way of being, and we define happiness according to that. Now, it has become also commonly prevalent where affairs are accepted, men are not supposed to be monogamous, historically we are all animals, right? These kind of statements are made everywhere. What are your views on that?
So I would again try to use the only example that people usually understand movies. I love to quote Karan Johar's movie, Kank the Tank, Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. It was so easily accepted that Shah Rukh cheated in that movie, and then, he was an abusive guy, but still got his woman back. Surani Mukherjee, end of the day, came to him. Unfortunately, in our society is very skewed. Men are not the only one who are not supposed to be monogamous. Women are also. Human beings are animals, polygamous hai. But unfortunately, the statement has been misinterpreted by the society that men can be, it's okay for a man to step out, but a woman can't step out. So I think it is very weird, and this narrative, the social narrative, has been created since time memorial. It's gradually built up to such a big extent that today we don't question it. Today we don't ask the reason why. Why? ऐसा क्यों है? ऐसा, why is it necessary for us to be in a marriage and be committed to each other? It's a very fundamental question. If I ask this question to you, why is it necessary for you to be committed to your husband? Can you respond, Ashna?
Why is it important to be committed to my husband?
Yeah. Why? Why can't you just go out with someone else?
I think I don't have the emotional bandwidth, to be with more than one person. And I think to me, honoring my marriage is actually honoring being with one person.
Brilliant. So you have a very good clarity. Statement of purpose is very clear. I want to honor the marriage. I'll take the second part of it. The honoring the marriage is very important. So what is a marriage? Marriage is technically a social contract, as I said. And the social contract involves with two people being there together, sharing the highs and the lows. Here what happens is we are only talking about the highs. We don't want to share the lows. The moment we hit a low, one partner can look outside. But why? When you are hitting the high, at that time, why do you not look outside? So your first question when you start off, good marriages and broken marriages. In good marriages also, the problem here is when you're hitting a high, that high is a plateau. You've been consistently hitting a high. There is no low. You must have seen that Instagram or YouTube video wherein the ball, which actually goes through multiple, ups and downs, travels faster than a ball which is going straight. That is what happens in all marriages, everywhere. So the fundamental issue here is that it is not just men who can step out of marriage, women too can step out of marriage, but is there a necessity for you to step out of marriage? Is there something that cannot be repaired? If that is the case, then don't get married. Do not get married. Stay in a live-in. You don't want to stay in a live-in? Nowadays you have situationships, so many ships which have sailed the sea. You get onto any ship and just be there. Why do you want to get married? Why do you want to cause trauma? The biggest problem is you don't just get married, but you plan or rather create new life.
Yeah.
And you screw that life.
Correct.
So I would say that if you're in a broken marriage and you cannot repair, please exit. Don't stay in a broken marriage, in a broken ship with your feet here, your feet there, because you are actually creating a traumatic child who will also have the same thing in a marriage.
And then ruin someone else's life in the future.
Absolutely. Not required.
Yeah.
And these are fake marriages.
Yeah.
Fake marriages for the society, where the wife knows the husband is cheating, the husband knows the wife is cheating. But they're there for the sake of the child. Why? Why? The child knows. Let's be very honest. He or she always knows what the parents are going through. If they are fighting, they know. If me and my wife are fighting, obviously my son will come and say, Papa, Mama, because I don't need to share it with them. The body language is there. It's understood.
Yeah, I think the environment, the energy they pick up on is so fast that you can try to maneuver it or even like lie about it, but they'll know.
Always.
Absolutely, I completely agree. From all your years of work, which is that one pattern according to you around love and marriage, which you wish that people would stop normalizing?
Abuse. Of what nature? Verbal abuse. It is very common for Indian men to look down upon women and to say very nasty things to them. Nasty things like हाँ तुमसे तो ये expected ही था, तुम तो ये कर ही नहीं पाओगी, मेरे दोस्तों के साथ adjust करना ही पड़ेगा because ये मेरे दोस्त हैं, ये ऐसे ही हैं. Why? Why should she adjust? Why can't the friends adjust to her? I mean, that doesn't happen, but the wife has to adjust to everything. That, for some reason, needs to be toned down. And I'm very happy with the new generation, and the reason is that they're vocal about it.
Correct.
My generation and my earlier generation were not vocal. And the problem is the women used to bear the brunt. Now, you don't realize this, but the problem automatically comes up. Not then, but it builds up gradually. And one fine day, there is a small crevice, everything floods out like a volcano. And that actually destroys a marriage. A woman adjusts to verbal abuse from the husband, a woman adjusts to taunts from the husband, everything. And when you're in a marriage with the other person. Give importance to your family, but do not make them supreme.
Yeah.
You are married to the man or the woman. You close the bedroom door, only you and her are together in the bed. Your family is not sleeping with you in the bed. Then why does your family be given so much importance? मम्मी ने ये कहा था हमें करना ही पड़ेगा. क्यों? मैं comfortable नहीं हूँ. So let the mother be explained as to why she is not comfortable. Why is it necessary that she has to adjust? Or why is it necessary that he has to adjust? In the name of customs, a woman goes through so much shit. And so does a man to a certain extent, but more women. So I feel this is something which constantly happens, and this causes a lot of rift in the marriage later on.
That's true. I think most toxic patterns are built on being forced to comply when you don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're forced to comply. And I think it's almost like, let's not upset everybody else because you're so difficult. You don't want to comply, you're difficult.
True.
But why does that person have to comply?
True.
And
Very
what is
true.
going to fall apart if I don't comply? Nothing. It's that image that you have built.
True.
I'm the perfect son, I'm the perfect neighbor, I'm the perfect society leader. And if my partner doesn't do this, then everything will go to, everything will go down.
Yeah, go down the drain.
Yeah, everything will go down the drain if that doesn't happen. So I think that need to comply without understanding why. I think the why is very important, right?
See, actually what happens is, when you get married, if it's an arranged or a love marriage, you bring the wife home, okay? The boy expects that the wife will turn everything upside down and be just like his parents. The wife expects the same from her husband. So, the expectation level itself, there is a mistake. If you actually sit down, again I'm using the word communicate, but if you sit down the table and actually tell the wife, and the wife tells the husband what she can do and what she can't do, there won't be any problem.
Yeah.
And this is not just related to like the family, etc. Bedroom, finance, everything.
Clarity from get-go.
Yeah, it is okay now. When you go to buy a phone, you obviously want to understand whether the phone clicks a certain amount of photograph, the clarity is there or not, how much RAM is it there. You communicate, that's why he is able to sell. The seller is able to sell that same phone to you. Why can't you do the same sort of clarity in communication to your husband or wife?
So if someone's listening right now and is secretly unhappy in their relationship, unhappy in their marriage, what is the one honest question they should ask themselves before blaming their partner?
Am I 100% right? What all mistakes have I committed in this relationship? Rather than me pointing finger at you, I would first check what all mistakes have I committed in the relationship, and I will write it down. You know why I'll do that? Because when I sit across the table with you and I'll tell you, you know what, I'm not happy about this, I'm not happy with that, you're obviously going to come back to me about what you're not happy, because we are all defensive. We suddenly become like Rahul Dravid, we all become a wall. The moment someone volleys some allegation, no, I did not do this, you did this. So you have to first look internally, audit your own systems, where have you gone wrong in the relationship before you reach out. Number 2, understand your expectation, benchmark them. I mean, it's a very MBA sort of language here, but benchmark your expectations. Why? Come on now, you cannot expect your husband to take you to 2 international trips if he's not making enough money. Benchmark it against his income. Benchmark it against his social circle. You cannot wear a short skirt and move around if your husband is A typical orthodox Indian husband who has never seen people move around in short skirts. You cannot fight him for that, with him for that. Same thing for husband, you benchmark your expectations of your wife. You got married to a girl who doesn't know how to cook. Now, if you got married to a girl who doesn't know how to cook, you're not dumb. You cannot expect her to suddenly make tarla dalal kind of cuisine the next day she turns up in the kitchen. You cannot say, "Tum to chai bhi nahi bana sakti. Ek dal chawal banana tumhe nahi aata." Hello, whom did you get married to? Did you not know that? So benchmark your expectations before you start complaining, before you start looking. So a relationship which is going down, look at what you're expecting from the other person. Is it realistic what you're expecting? If yes, then first you audit what have you done wrong before you start saying, मैंने तो ये भी किया, मैंने तो वो भी किया, तुम्हारी माँ की तबीयत खराब थी, मैंने तुम्हें ये करके दिया, तुम्हारे साथ ऐसा हो रहा था, मेरे पापा ने ऐसे किया. Before you do all that, first check what have you done wrong. Then, third step, sit down with your spouse and say, you know what, I have something to talk. Don't fight, narrate. Don't ask, narrate. Narration is when you actually just read out that, you know what, मुझे ऐसा ऐसा लगता है, मुझे साथ ऐसा ऐसा हुआ है. This is what I'm going through. What do you feel? Don't question him or don't question her. Ask their perspective or opinion. 99% of the times, if you don't blame someone, they will not actually become defensive also.
That's true. That's true. I think if you don't blame, they won't become defensive, and you can actually have mutual conversations where you're discussing point of views. Yeah. I think the defensiveness comes in blaming, and sometimes even if you're not blaming, I think the other person's perspective is that you're blaming. That True. Can also happen.
True.
Where their natural form of being is, मुझे कुछ बोला जा रहा है, मेरे बारे में कुछ गलत बोला जा रहा है. Oh, you're trying to pinpoint. Because they've been faltered a lot when they were a kid, or they've been taunted a lot when they were younger. So their natural defense mechanism is putting their guard up and saying, oh, you're trying to blame me. No, I'm trying to blame me. I'm trying to talk to you.
Middle child, usually middle child syndrome bolte isko. If there are 3 kids and there is a middle child, the middle child is always borne the brunt of the elder one and the younger one. So they are always very defensive. So if your husband or wife is a middle child, trust me, they will be defensive. So there are things that you can pick up and then use this to handle your spouse in a better manner.
So you mentioned that affairs aren't always about desire. Can you tell me about a story of someone who entered an affair for a reason they didn't understand themselves at first, and then realized something and everything changed?
So there was this married couple. Obviously, the woman was doing really well in her career. Then she had to take a sabbatical, get married, and move out of India to that place. And you know how the NRI weddings are, right? And she did not have a career there. So she had 3 beautiful children, and let me name the place as Canada. Let's use that word. So Canada, they were staying, and 3 kids, beautiful kids. So, but what happens is that gradually things moved on. She did not feel fulfilled enough in the marriage, and she felt as if the children were purely focused on the father. Father did this, father did that. Father was amazing. He was like never did anything wrong. He was always correct. And that is scary. If your spouse is always correct, you start questioning yourself because you don't have any opinion. And she lost herself. Now, while in all this, she met this young man, a young man who was like roughly 15 years younger to her. Now, he was making multiple mistakes. She saw that she could help him. It always started like mentoring. From mentoring, it started evening dates, drinks, drives, ended up in the bed. And gradually she realized she had started something which she could not take herself back from. Why? Because this young boy was completely attached to her, and she did not know how to break free out of it. So when she came to us, she was in the situation that she was in an affair. She herself started it, and now she wanted to get out of it. So primarily we asked her one specific thing. What was she missing that she was looking outside? And she said that my husband doesn't even need anything from me. What do I do? Because he's too good. What do you do in such circumstances? When your husband doesn't need you, you feel useless because your children don't need you, your husband doesn't need you.
She felt needed in this relationship, in this affair.
Absolutely. And that is where she did what she did. So we worked out something with her. We worked with her for like 6 to 7 months. We got her out of that affair and we got her into something else for the community. Many times you have to just change your energy, the focus of your energy from one part to the other part. Sometimes all you need is recognition. That recognition can come from anything. So what we simply did is, rather than mentoring one person, we helped her mentor the community. And today she's a community leader out of the affair, doing really well. So many times this recognition that what is missing in your life can actually shape your entire life.
How beautiful. Actually, I actually really understood that. I mean, I feel that everybody is actually looking to be seen, heard, and belong. Everybody wants to be needed in some way. You know, there, I think 2 generations ago, the need was to be looked after the house. The pride was the grandma say, मेरे बिना घर नहीं चलेगा, मैं चली जाऊंगी ना ये घर टूट जाएगा, खत्म हो जाएगा.
Correct.
So that was her way of feeling needed. Grandfather would say, मेरे बिना तो मेरे बच्चे चलते ही नहीं, उनको पता ही नहीं करना क्या है. I am their direction, I am the voice in their head. That was his way of feeling needed. So I'm just saying these are random examples, but I think in the end we all want to be needed. We all want to belong. We all want to feel that without us something will fall apart. Somebody needs us to fix something.
True.
And in this case, you know, I feel it's such a sweet story that she actually just wanted to be needed and she did feel it. And let's say the society is giving her that satisfaction.
Yep.
And it's not that, you're right, it's not the satisfaction if she needed it, not just from her man, not just from her partner, not just from the affair, but from someone. And I'm really glad from one person you made the whole community need her and kind of fulfilled her in that way.
Yeah.
Because it is that dire need, right, to be wanted.
So in HR, we call it rewards and recognition. Rewards and recognitions are the need for the day for everyone. If it's an individual in an organization or individual at your home, you need to be rewarded and recognized. So when a son runs home and says, Mama, you made such amazing food, that is recognition to his mother. And the reward that the recognition gives is amazing, because that happiness cannot be
Matched.
replaced or
Yeah.
matched by anything.
Correct. Absolutely. Now tell me about marriage that looked perfect. Tell us about a story where the marriage looked stable, successful, even enviable from the outside, but was emotionally starving on the inside.
Good. Okay, this is something that everyone's going to probably relate to. So on paper, amazing couple. On paper, let's call it SRK Kajol kind of couple. You know, after the DDLJ phase or probably the Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum phase, amazing, made for each other, complete each other's sentences. It was so good, hunky dory. But in reality, what used to happen is, now this is something behind the bedroom thing, they never used to have sex. They had like completely taken that off the table. It started with that, and gradually from there, they never used to hold each other. They never used to hug. They never used to do everything. On the outside, social functions, they will hold each other, take snaps. It looks really good. But inside the bedroom, the closed doors, no hugging, no touching, doing nothing. Absolutely zero.
This was amicably decided.
Huh?
This was amicably
It
decided.
just happened.
Oh.
It happens in relationships. We don't know. It starts with the wife being pregnant. It suddenly happens with the husband having a crazy schedule, comes late at night, he's so tired. And suddenly they are in their mid-40s and the husband has got, let's say, ED. And the wife's like, he has ED and I don't want to, make him feel bad. So I don't share my needs with him. And then I take care of myself. He takes care of himself. It is good, great, amazing. But gradually you realize that you've stopped communicating and stopped sharing your emotional needs. There is crazy starvation. It starts with sex, goes to holding hands, hugging and sleeping, and suddenly you realize you're sleeping in 2 different rooms. Why? Because he has calls at night, na, isliye wo dusre room mein sote hain. She snores a lot, so I can't sleep with her. And there is a complete disconnect. So you're 2 friends staying in a home.
Yeah.
How can 2 friends staying in a home be husband and wife? It's not possible. Now entirely the emotional bond between a husband and wife that is necessary is gone. It's completely erased. This is a live example that happened with a couple. When they came to us, they said that we feel like we are best friends, but we don't do anything together. We don't like anything. We feel that we have grown apart as couples.
But they maintain it for the society.
Yeah. So like it's good that we hang out with each other. Probably we have movie dates, but that's about it, yeah. We don't even like to sit and have a conversation. Because I feel that she's going somewhere else and I'm going probably somewhere else. She goes to Kanyakumari, I'm going to Kashmir. Such poles apart. So what do? So after multiple exercises and sessions with them, we came to realize that it fundamentally started that they never used to like spending space with each other. As I said, physical intimacy is a part of it, but it is not a necessity. But you have to share space, right? You need to know what the other person is. किस करवट बदलते हैं आपके पति या पत्नी उतना तो जानना चाहिए ना. That much necessity is there. So we just started with basic exercise. The basic exercise that we asked them to do, hold each other for an hour and sleep on the bed. That is the truth.
They must have thought it's bizarre as a solution.
Yeah, she's like, what, do you want me to have sex with him? We're like, no, I don't want you to have sex with him. I want you to be fully clothed. On the bed, put some amazing candle, romantic music, hold each other and just sleep. If it's possible for you to doze away, doze away. Otherwise, just hold each other for a week. Like, just stay in that position. 1 hour का अलार्म रख के सोते थे. पहला दिन बोले 30 मिनट से ज़्यादा हो नहीं पाया. Next time we did for 45, then 50, then 5th or 6th time they did an hour. And after that, they gradually realized how their body started feeling with each other. होता है ना, when your spouse touches you, there is a feeling that comes in your body. You gradually open up. And then they did not need us. They started talking to each other. So you see, it happens a lot. It begins with something so small, but you don't even realize that you're emotionally starving the other person. The other person is not there. Like plants, you put water on them every day, sunlight is given, but you just ignore them. The plant will wither. Yeah. Plants have life too. You have to take care of it. A light touch, a gentle smile, actually make sure that the plant grows better. This is scientifically proven.
Nurturing.
And that's the same thing in a relationship.
I completely agree. And I also feel like, the effort starts reducing as years go by.
Yep.
You feel like taken for granted. You feel like ye to hai hi. And I think we work at everything else in our life. So let's say somebody is at a particular position in a company doing really well at work. And they'll put in more work to reach the next position. Then they'll put in more work to reach the next position. Somebody's taking 2 holidays, they'll work really hard to take 4. Somebody is wearing an X brand of clothes, they'll really work hard to wear the next. But when it comes to marriage, it's like kind of understood she's not going anywhere, he's not going anywhere. So that kind of effort starts getting missed. And I think that happens to everybody. Phases. Everybody goes through that phase where you feel like, haan, theek hai, it's okay, chal raha hai. Nobody really thinks about like where the dents are and like really to take care of the dents before they become cracks and then you're in 2 different bedrooms.
So the best part here is that I myself have gone through something similar. So during COVID, my career just took off because I started writing, I started speaking a lot, and my sessions were well received and I got a lot of spotlight. During all that spotlight, I started getting a lot of attention from everywhere. I completely ignored the fact that it was my wife who was holding the entire home together. Adira, my wife, she literally was a hub against which the entire home stood back. I never gave her any recognition. It took me 3.5, 4 years post-COVID, this 23, 24, that when I realized that what am I doing to her? So today when I share these experiences, I have learned a lot myself. I have made mistakes myself. I have sat down with her and I have told her that, you know what, I am sorry. I completely forgot that you were there.
Yeah.
And I took you for granted because you were always going to be there.
I think that happens, right? We forget how the ecosystem is not just based on you, it's based on all the other people as well.
I would have done not even 5% of what I have done today if my wife was not there. She was the first person who questioned me when I was doing nothing. So if I'm something today, it's 95% because of my wife. So that credit I have to give her. So we forget that about our partners, and I feel that is the biggest mistake that every couple does, taken for granted, as you very clearly said.
Yeah. So I think we all need to have a moment of brutal self-honesty. Tell me about someone who didn't need to change their partner, their marriage or their circumstances, but they needed to confront this very uncomfortable truth about themselves that you had to help them with.
So I was working with this couple, they're based out of US, and they recently moved to the Gulf, and the husband basically complained that he was not getting a lot of physical intimacy with his wife. And they started having fights, etc., etc. So by the time we just came to that session wherein we were speaking to each other, it came out to the front that his expectation in the bedroom had changed. He had become a bit more dominant, BDSM demanding. Stuff has changed. Now, his wife had a very orthodox upbringing, and she used to feel that this is something which is unnatural, how he's expecting this much. So many times in couples, it is something which happens naturally over time. Their expectations have changed, and when you don't talk about it, you start feeling that the husband is different or the wife is different, and that causes a rift in the marriage, and that had to be taken care. We're still working with them. It's still a work in progress, but the benefit here is, at least when they got onto the table and they started talking, they realized that this is not out of the box. This is pretty much in the box. I think every third couple or 3 out of 10 couples go through something very similar when something is drastically changed in the one partner and you're not aware of it, and you start questioning this key, maybe this is not right, this is not supposed to be done, this is not how it is, this person has changed, he's not the man I got married to, or she's not the woman I got married to, but she's the same woman, he's the same man. There is evolution which has happened. The change of taste is there. But till the time you don't understand why that has happened, it's a problem. Now, there's an alternate to this also. There are times when a man or woman has undergone some trauma, and that trauma comes out a bit later on in this life, and that comes out in this manner. If you feel that that is a problem, then it is very important for you to reach out to professionals and seek help. Why? Because this sort of intimacy and these sort of acts can cause a lot of rupture also in marriages and relationships. And it happens. Many times it is swept under the carpet by giving it some very weird names.
Yeah.
But it is a reality. Your husband did not turn gay out of the blue, and your wife did not suddenly start expecting certain things in life. It was always there, you ignored it.
Tell me, there's a lot of taboo still about couple counseling.
Oh.
People have this imaginary idea that if you go through couple counseling, firstly, things will go worse than they are. Secondly, in front of my partner, how can I even address the issues that are in my head for the last 10 years? Thirdly, I've heard of so many cases, I've spoken to so many people, and every time people have gone for couples counseling, they've actually gotten divorced. Can you explain these three things?
See, we're very scared to air our dirty laundry in front of people who are not family. Even family, it's a very scary thing. Talking about stuff like this in front of family also becomes a problem. So I understand the apprehension when it comes to people, when they can't come down and talk about it. But the fundamental issue here is that you have to understand the counselor is not there to make or break your marriage.
Correct.
They feel that when we go to a counselor will give solutions. No counselor does that. If a counselor is giving you solutions, then trust me, that's a wrong counselor. The counselor is just supposed to listen to what you're saying. If at all he or she finds that you are hiding stuff, they are supposed to bring that out. You both are supposed to just talk and get solutions yourself.
Yeah, they can only show you the mirror.
Absolutely. They are merely there to showcase if at all this person has hidden something from him or he's hiding something from her. That's it. That is the only role of a counselor. Now coming to the second part of the question. Why people are scared? They are usually scared because they are aware that they are dishonest. They are aware that they have made a mistake, and they are probably pressurizing the other partner by telling her that you are wrong or telling him that you are wrong. And the moment they step outside, now you have a third party, probably someone who is a professional who will come and say, hey, she is right, you are wrong. And the moment that happens, I'm scared. What if I lose that advantage that I have over her? What if she comes to know that I'm gaslighting her? That's the biggest problem that is there. And that is why couples counseling is a big problematic, a taboo rather. So when people come out, so usually it's the wives who reach out for couples counseling. It's hardly a man who reaches out.
That's true.
Right. I mean, women are way more strong than men. Men are like really scared, insecure, I would rather say. The problem is that when a woman comes and says, you know what, this is the case, but I can't convince her. So I tell her very simply, it's okay. Do not convince. Let's have sessions. 2 to 3 sessions. There is so much transformation in her that the husband starts asking, are you having an affair?
Yeah.
And that is my entry point. When he starts asking her this, I say, now you bring him to me and say that he's made this change. And then let's get, because that curiosity as to why is my wife so confident out of the blue, that will make sure that he comes there on the table. That's enough.
So if love isn't meant to save us, what is the real purpose in human life?
To each his own, but love is never meant to save us, and I honestly believe that the real purpose in life is to be happy. Whatever gives you happiness. Every single construct or contract in your life is there so that you can reach your ultimate goal, and that is happiness. When you were a small girl, Ashna, what did you want to do?
I wanted to become an astronaut.
Why?
I don't know, I was fascinated by the moons and the stars, and I was like, oh my God, I would love to see what it's like to be up there.
So as a clinical psychologist, I would say that you would love to travel, and that travel is what fascinated you always. The idea that you will go to far off places, see these amazing, beautiful moons and stars and skies and stuff like that. So if at your adulthood, if you're able to travel and your marriage, your family supports the final purpose that you are supposed to travel, it will keep you happy. That's it. That is all that you're supposed to do. Rest all is secondary. Spirituality, religion, love, parenting, these are all stepping stones, and these stepping stones are supposed to take you to your ultimate happiness. So you, me, everyone should understand what makes you actually happy. What makes me happy? I love making others understand the reality about themselves. I love making people happy. I love getting the people to smile. That is my happiness. That's my purpose. So whatever does that, I'm happy doing that. So the moment you are able to find that, rest all is secondary. The primary focus is that.
Thank you, Dr. Sheetal. This was such an engaging and interesting conversation. And I hope everyone's able to take the right takeaways from it, because I did. And people are able to understand why marriages fail, succeed, not succeed, and why affairs can be avoided by just small changes that you said that can bring into your own marriage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ashna, for having me here. It was amazing talking to you. People don't cheat because they're bad. People cheat because there's something missing. Hi, I'm Dr. Sheetal Nair, an affairs and intimacy coach. If you want to understand what happens inside a relationship, watch the entire conversation on the Human Threads on all the streaming platforms.